Breaking news, and one of the great Hollywood actors has died. Robert Duvall has died at the age of 95.
When Robert Duvall passed away at 95, the world lost a legend. But now, as rumors from his autopsy emerge, some unsettling questions have begun to surface. What exactly was uncovered in those final reports? While his death was officially attributed to natural causes, the investigation into his health reveals a shocking twist that could change how we remember the iconic actor. Trust us, you'll want to stay tuned for a revelation that will make you see Duvall's final years in an entirely new light. Journey toward the stage. Robert Duvall, the iconic actor who would later captivate audiences across 7 decades of cinema, was born in San Diego, California, on January 5, 1931. His upbringing in a military family, with a father who served as a naval officer, profoundly shaped his character and work ethic. Growing up, discipline and structure were integral to Duvall's life. His father's strict yet supportive influence imparted a sense of duty and focus that would follow Duvall throughout his career. Though he was raised in an environment steeped in military tradition, it was the world of acting that ultimately called to him. Duvall's journey toward the stage wasn't immediately obvious. He attended Principia College in Illinois, where his initial studies did not lean toward drama or performance. Like many young people, he was figuring out his path, and the idea of becoming an actor seemed distant. However, something stirred in him as he encountered the world of theater. The transformation was subtle but powerful, like an actor preparing to take center stage. The pull of performance began to outweigh the more conventional life he was on track to lead. Duvall was drawn to the idea of storytelling and the exploration of human emotions through characters. This desire would soon take him far from the familiar routines of his college life and into the heart of New York City. Duvall made the courageous choice to follow his acting ambition when he finished college education because he wanted to perform in New York City theaters. He studied at this institution where he learned from Sanford Meisner, who was a highly respected acting teacher who taught students to perform with authentic emotional expressions and naturalistic acting behaviors. Duvall built his career foundation through Meisner's technique, which taught actors to react to their environment with genuine, spontaneous behavior. Duvall achieved 2 essential components of his acting method through his study with Meisner, which taught him to perform with both powerful intensity and measured control. The training required him to explore his deepest emotional states, while he showed total openness and pushed himself to new limits during every performance. The training program brought about a complete transformation, which turned Duvall from an undecided college graduate into an artist with a determined focus who was prepared to enter the acting industry. Duvall established lifelong friendships during his New York experience, which became important for his professional development. He lived in an apartment together with his roommate, actors Dustin Hoffman and Gene Hackman, who both became legendary performers. The early period of his life, when he lived with other young men who later became Hollywood legends, played a crucial role in his development as an actor. The friendship they had extended beyond their personal relationship because it created a bond that benefited both their personal lives and their work lives. The 3 friends who battled to establish themselves in the city's demanding theater scene worked together to improve their artistic abilities through shared experiences. Duvall attained his first understanding of the craft during this time when he learned about its requirements and its dedication and its benefits. But little did the world know, this quiet, disciplined man was about to transform Hollywood forever with one unforgettable role. Breakthrough role, Boo Radley. In 1962, Robert Duvall's career took a life-changing turn with his breakthrough role in To Kill a Mockingbird. Adapted from Harper Lee's iconic novel, the film would become a cornerstone of American cinema, and Duvall's performance as Boo Radley would etch his name into Hollywood history. Though Duvall's screen time was limited, his portrayal of the mysterious, reclusive Boo left an indelible impression. He had almost no dialogue in the role, yet he managed to convey a depth of emotion that resonated with audiences for years. Through a quiet intensity, Duvall's Boo was not merely a shadowy figure lurking in the background, but a fully realized character whose presence was felt long after he exited the screen. Boo Radley, a man of few words and even fewer appearances, was a character defined by his silence. Yet, in that silence, Duvall found a way to communicate the complex emotional layers of the character. His eyes, wide, searching, filled with sorrow and longing, became the vehicle through which the audience would connect with Boo. Despite being a figure shrouded in mystery and fear within the film, Duvall infused Boo with vulnerability, making him a character of profound humanity. Each moment he spent on screen seemed to tell a story all on its own, with Duvall's ability to express the intricacies of Boo's loneliness and unspoken pain with just a glance, elevating the film's emotional depth. What made Duvall's portrayal so striking was his ability to do so much with so little. In a film teeming with performances brimming with words and action, Duvall's restraint was a masterclass in subtlety. He understood that sometimes the most powerful moments are the ones that speak without uttering a single word. Duvall communicated Boo's tragic isolation through his body language, through his careful movements and pauses. His Boo was not a man to rush, not a man to speak unnecessarily, but a man who carried his pain in his every gesture. Whether he was slowly creeping through the shadows or stepping into the light to reveal his humanity, Duvall's performance made every small action feel monumental. The Duvall performance showed its complete effects through his entire short screen time. The audience developed an intense emotional bond with him, which most performers require more dialogue and action to accomplish. Director Robert Mulligan recognized Duvall's ability to display quiet strength, which he permitted the actor to express through a character who should have received less attention, according to the script. Boo Radley served as a primary emblem that showed both dread and empathy through his portrayal of racial inequality and moral courage and childhood innocence, while Duvall proved to be the ideal actor who could showcase both of those traits. Duvall demonstrated his acting talent through his ability to express complex emotions without using words. His performance as Boo Radley showed his exceptional ability to leave a lasting impression, even though it consisted of a brief appearance. The audience members who watched the film experienced astonishment because they discovered that such a small character could create such a strong impact. Duvall demonstrated his acting talent by transforming a minor role into a character whose deep complexity became essential to the movie's plot. With this masterstroke, Duvall was on the radar of some of the biggest filmmakers of the time, none more influential than Francis Ford Coppola, Tom Hagen, and Hollywood's New Era, 1972. In 1972, Robert Duvall's career reached new heights with his iconic role as Tom Hagen in The Godfather.
He had a career spanning more than 6 decades. He was best known for appearances in The Godfather.
The film, directed by Francis Ford Coppola and based on Mario Puzo's novel, would become a landmark in cinematic history. And Duvall's portrayal of the Corleone family's adopted son and consigliere would forever cement his place in Hollywood's pantheon of great actors. What made Duvall's performance in The Godfather stand out from the many other legendary portrayals in the film was the quiet intensity he brought to the role. While the film was filled with larger-than-life characters, Duvall's Tom Hagen was a study in restraint and subtlety, qualities that became the hallmark of his acting style. Tom Hagen wasn't your typical loudmouthed gangster or ruthless underworld figure. He was the calm in the storm, the advisor to the Corleone family, who navigated the treacherous world of organized crime with a sense of moral conviction and intelligence. Duvall's performance was a sharp contrast to the traditional gangster archetype. He played Hagen with a quiet dignity and reserved emotion, choosing not to show the raw aggression that often defined other characters in crime dramas. Where characters like Marlon Brando's Don Vito Corleone or Al Pacino's Michael Corleone were emotionally explosive, Hagen was thoughtful, strategic, and always in control of his emotions. He wasn't just a passive figure in the background, he was the emotional center of the film, balancing the chaos and violence surrounding him with his measured approach to the world of organized crime. Coppola discovered exceptional talent in Duvall, who possessed the power to express intricate emotions through controlled performance. Duvall's Hagen role functioned as the rational character who maintained calmness during the chaotic situations which other actors used to showcase their characters' extreme behavior. He developed an emotional connection with the viewers through his performance, which showed an authentic human being who existed in the morally ambiguous environment of the Corleone family. The narrative found emotional depth through the depiction of Hagen's dedication to Don Vito, which developed into a relationship with Michael Corleone. Duvall's skillful delivery of lines like, "I always wanted to be thought of as a brother by you, Mike, a real brother," in The Godfather Part 2, demonstrated his talent for transforming basic dialogue into powerful emotional expressions, which allowed viewers to experience his character's inner struggles. But Duvall's success didn't end with just one legendary performance. He was about to show the world his ability to explore the extremes of human nature in even more unforgettable roles. Exploring the extremes. 1979 was a year of dual extremes for Robert Duvall, a year that showcased his incredible range as an actor. That year, he brought two of the most memorable contrasting characters to life: Colonel Kilgore in Apocalypse Now and the tyrannical father, Lieutenant Colonel Bull Meacham in The Great Santini. These roles not only marked a high point in his career, but also underscored Duvall's rare ability to embody both explosive power and deep vulnerability, sometimes within the same character. In Apocalypse Now, Duvall's portrayal of Kilgore is nothing short of iconic. The role pushed him into the realm of larger-than-life, and he would deliver one of the most quoted lines in cinematic history: "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." Kilgore, a charismatic and reckless Army colonel in the midst of the Vietnam War, is a figure driven by a peculiar blend of bravado and detached nihilism. Duvall took what could have been a one-dimensional war hero and turned him into a complex, terrifying character. At first glance, Kilgore seems to revel in the chaos of war, exhibiting a kind of gleeful insanity. His obsession with surfing, even while surrounded by the horrors of combat, seems ludicrous, but Duvall's performance revealed a man who found comfort and identity in the madness. Duvall's representation of Kilgore extended beyond his grand speeches and his excessive display of confidence to show his delicate nature, which remained hidden from others. The scenes in which Kilgore observes the battlefield with composure and describes his war passion using innocent enthusiasm created a dangerous yet sad character. Duvall showed two traits through his characterization of Kilgore, who constructed a power structure that enabled him to do anything he wanted, while Duvall showed a peculiar emptiness through his acting. His excessive self-assurance served as a protective barrier that safeguarded his hidden emotional state that resulted from losing his life mission, which he concealed through false confidence. Duvall's performance as Kilgore demonstrated both the insane aspects of warfare and its fundamental nature, as Duvall created a character who audiences found both frightening and strangely relatable. Duvall played another exceptional character when he took his role just 3 months after Apocalypse Now, but this time his character faced extreme personal threats. Duvall played Lieutenant Colonel Bull Meacham in The Great Santini, who represented a Marine fighter pilot with extreme anger, who used his military authority to terrorize his family. This role required a different kind of emotional depth, as Duvall took on the task of portraying a man whose cruelty was layered with insecurity and fear. Bull Meacham is a man who carries the scars of a brutal military career, and he's unable to separate his role as a soldier from his life as a father and husband. Duvall showed Bull through his performance, which created an intense experience because his uncontrolled emotional breakdown made him dangerous, while Duvall showed his inner struggle between self-imposed standards and external social expectations. But it wasn't until Tender Mercies that Duvall would finally earn the ultimate recognition, an Oscar for a role that was a complete departure from everything he'd done before. An introspective transformation. In 1983, Robert Duvall's career took a profound turn with his portrayal of Max Sledge in Tender Mercies. The film, a quiet, introspective drama set in rural Texas, showcased Duvall's ability to step away from the larger-than-life roles that had defined much of his earlier career. As Max Sledge, a washed-up country singer seeking redemption, Duvall delivered a performance so understated, so quietly powerful, that it earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor.
I sometimes come to the Academy Awards and watch them year after year, and I get caught up in the spectacle of it, in the event, in the very complex type of entertainment, and I want to thank the Academy very much for this award. I'm very happy. Thank you.
This role marked a dramatic shift in Duvall's approach to acting, moving from the explosive, often brash characters he was known for, to a much more subtle and emotionally nuanced portrayal of a man grappling with his own demons. Max Sledge is a far cry from the Colonel Kilgores and Bull Meachams that Duvall had previously played. Sledge is a man broken by years of alcohol abuse, a failed career, and the collapse of his personal life. When the film begins, he is a shell of a man, worn down by regret, living in a small, unremarkable Texas town and working as a handyman at a modest motel. Unlike the aggressive, domineering figures Duvall had so often brought to life, Sledge is a man who communicates through silence, reflection, and quiet actions, rather than loud outbursts or grand gestures. His inner turmoil is conveyed not through words, but through Duvall's impeccable use of stillness, giving the character an emotional depth that makes him relatable and deeply human. The role required Duvall to undergo a transformation both physically and emotionally, moving away from the bombastic, larger-than-life characters that had come to define him. Max Sledge was a man who had lived in the shadows of his own fame, and Duvall captured that sense of fading glory perfectly. He played Sledge not as a man of extremes, but as someone who had learned to keep his emotions in check, to push down the pain and the anger, and to live with the consequences of his past mistakes. There's a quiet dignity in Duvall's portrayal, one that allows the audience to feel Sledge's internal struggle without him ever needing to articulate it explicitly. It's a performance that doesn't demand attention, but subtly draws the viewer in, making every moment of introspection feel monumental. The performance of Duvall in Tender Mercies achieved its outstanding quality because he successfully portrayed a character who appeared to be ordinary. Duvall and Duvall's performance both displayed Max Sledge's character development, which started with his broken state and ended with him recovering his determination and optimism. Most actors would present Sledge's development through extensive movements, yet Duvall chose to act through subtlety, which allowed his character to develop naturally. The performance exists through controlled behavior and truthful emotional expression, which creates exceptional Duvall performance in the film through its delicate details. Duvall performed the role of Max Sledge by showing complete obedience to his character, which created a complete opposition to his previous roles, which contained loud and aggressive characters. Duvall established his public persona through his portrayal of Colonel Kilgore and Bull Meacham, who represented two powerful characters that displayed their emotions through loud facial expressions. Duvall reversed the conventional presentation in Tender Mercies. The actor demonstrated his ability to perform different roles through his performance, which required him to maintain quietness and controlled body movements instead of using forceful acting techniques. He demonstrated that authentic inner strength exists through quiet moments that emerge in minimal physical displays and complete silence. As his career moved into the 90s, Duvall would continue to redefine his legacy, this time with a return to the Western genre and a deep dive into the spiritual complexities of his characters. Lonesome Dove, The Apostle, and Open Range. As Robert Duvall aged, he continued to demonstrate an incredible versatility that allowed him to seamlessly navigate both the expansive landscapes of Westerns and the intimate settings of character-driven dramas. Throughout his career, he was never confined to one genre, and his later roles, especially in Lonesome Dove, 1989, The Apostle, 1997, and Open Range, 2003, showcased his ability to adapt to vastly different characters while remaining emotionally true to each one. These roles cemented Duvall's place as one of Hollywood's most enduring and multifaceted actors, proving that his talent had not only aged like fine wine, but had evolved to encompass even more layers of complexity. In Lonesome Dove, Duvall embodied the role of Gus McCrae, a Texas Ranger who, after years of facing both the triumphs and tragedies of the American frontier, embarks on a cattle drive. Gus is the very definition of a rugged, quiet hero, a man who has lived through and witnessed countless hardships, but who faces them with humor, wisdom, and a deep sense of honor. Duvall's portrayal of Gus McCrae was a masterstroke of subtlety and grace. He didn't shout or dominate the screen. Instead, he brought to life a character whose strength was rooted in his ability to endure, to remain grounded in his values no matter the storm around him. Gus's friendship with Woodrow F. Call, played by Tommy Lee Jones, was the heart of Lonesome Dove, and Duvall's ability to convey the deep emotional bond between the two characters without ever resorting to melodrama helped elevate the miniseries into a landmark of Western storytelling. His performance became iconic, solidifying Duvall as a definitive figure in the genre and cementing his reputation as one of the best to ever portray the tough but tender cowboy. Duvall explored his complex character work when he acted in the Apostle movie, which he also wrote and directed 8 years after his previous role. Duvall developed this personal project, which he directed through his writing, to create the story and character of Ulysses Sonny DeWitt, who becomes a Pentecostal preacher after his violent outburst leads him to live as a fugitive. Duvall developed a dual character in the Apostle, who displays both his human flaws and his genuine quest for redemption through faith. Duvall performed Sonny, who battled his internal demons, which included his previous mistakes and his quest to achieve real spiritual identity in a way that created both deep engagement and emotional pain. Duvall, who worked as both filmmaker and main actor, delivered emotional authenticity through his performance, which made the character totally convincing. The film, entitled The Apostle, enables him to study grace and failure together with the intricate nature of faith, which proves his untouchable actor and director abilities for later stages of his life. Duvall used his deep career experience to create a complex character who showed his dedication to the story. Despite his advancing age, Duvall remained a force to be reckoned with in Hollywood, never fading into the background, but instead carefully choosing projects that would further cement his legendary status. Living legacy and the continued craft. As Robert Duvall entered his later years, he remained a towering figure in Hollywood, but he became more selective about the roles he took on. Even as the years added up, Duvall's passion for acting and his deep understanding of his craft didn't fade. He had already established himself as a master of his art, and in his final years, he chose roles that allowed him to continue exploring the rich complexities of character, albeit in more restrained and nuanced ways. Films like The Judge, 2014, and Crazy Heart, 2009, proved that Duvall had lost none of his skill or presence, despite his advancing age. These films showcased a man still very much at the top of his game. And yet, as always, Duvall brought a certain understated intensity to his roles that felt like an extension of his entire career. In The Judge, Duvall played the role of Joseph Palmer, an aging and irascible judge whose estranged son, played by Robert Downey Jr., returns home to defend him in a legal case. Duvall's portrayal of Joseph was both powerful and restrained, capturing the complexity of a man who is both deeply flawed and fiercely protective of his legacy. The role required Duvall to bring forth the emotions of a father who has lived a lifetime of choices and regrets. His ability to balance a hardened exterior with subtle moments of vulnerability was a testament to his unparalleled acting skill. Even as Duvall aged, he could still command the screen with a quiet authority, showing that age had only deepened the emotional resonance of his performances. Similarly, in Crazy Heart, where he played a veteran country music star, Duvall again demonstrated his knack for finding humanity in flawed characters, giving a tender, heartfelt performance that was deeply moving, if not as outwardly dramatic as some of his earlier roles. The Hollywood industry has not yet entranced Duvall, who maintains his rejection of its glamorous lifestyle because he has received numerous honors throughout his career. Duvall chose to retire from public life after he spent 40 years working in entertainment because he wanted to follow his beliefs, which defined his way of life. He moved to Virginia, which provided him with a peaceful existence far from the active entertainment industry. The simplicity which he always maintained as his fundamental nature defined his decision to return to Virginia. Duvall spent his retirement mostly alone in nature because he loved it, and he found peace through horseback riding, which helped him to reconnect with nature and his inner tranquility.
Duvall spent his final years at his 300-acre horse farm in Middleburg, Virginia, with his wife of 20 years, surrounded by nature and the horses he loved.
The actor chose to stay inside his home far away from Hollywood fame because he wanted to focus on his professional work. Duvall never sought to achieve permanent celebrity status because he wanted to maintain his original position in the public eye. His family life and his hobbies and his need for privacy brought him the happiness he wanted. Duvall decreased his public activities, but his reputation as one of Hollywood's top actors continued to grow during his last years. The actor who reduced his public commitments and interviews still remained an influential industry figure who motivated younger filmmakers and actors through his enduring legacy. His extraordinary career demonstrated how actors can achieve long-lasting success by combining their skills with their personal choices and genuine selves. But even as he aged, the legend of Robert Duvall would soon come to a quiet, peaceful end, one that would leave a void in the cinematic world he had helped shape. Death and the legacy of Robert Duvall. On February 15, 2026, the world lost one of cinema's greatest treasures. Robert Duvall passed away peacefully at the age of 95 at his home in Middleburg, Virginia, with his wife, Luciana Pedraza, by his side. His death was confirmed to be from natural causes, marking the end of a remarkable life that had spanned nearly a century. While his passing left a void in the entertainment world, Duvall's legacy as an actor, filmmaker, and storyteller remains indelible. He had lived a life that was as rich and nuanced as the characters he portrayed on screen, and his influence will continue to inspire generations of filmmakers and actors for many years to come. Duvall's journey to Hollywood greatness was anything but typical. Born into a military family, he was grounded in discipline and structure from a young age. Yet his passion for acting would take him on a path far from the traditional career his family might have envisioned. From his early days in New York, studying under Sanford Meisner, to his breakthrough role as Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird, Duvall slowly carved out a place for himself in the industry. His rise to prominence came through sheer talent and determination, refusing to be boxed into any one genre or type of role. He became a titan of Hollywood, not because of his ambition to be a star, but because of his unwavering dedication to the craft of acting. In an industry that often prizes fame over substance, Duvall remained a humble figure, driven only by his love for storytelling and his desire to truthfully bring characters to life. Duvall achieved more than 60 years in his career while appearing in 100-plus film and television productions. His performances showed unmatched emotional depth, which enabled him to reveal the authentic nature of all his intricate characters who experienced ethical dilemmas. Duvall showed his complete range as an actor because he could switch from playing Tom Hagen in The Godfather to portraying Colonel Kilgore in Apocalypse Now. He won an Oscar for his role as a shattered country singer in Tender Mercies, but his exceptional dedication to all his roles made him stand out from other actors. He experienced the deep personal essence of his characters through acting, which made his performances feel real to him. Duvall created an eternal impact on film through his artistic dedication and basic moral values, and his dedication to telling stories. He gained recognition through his legendary performances and his dedication to performing every role with complete accuracy. He demonstrated the ability to create characters who displayed their intricate personality traits through his portrayals despite having brief appearances in his performance. He chose to play characters who exhibited major defects because he wanted to study how people develop throughout their lives, which most actors avoided doing. His talents allowed him to perform all types of characters, which made him one of his generation's most admired actors. Throughout his career, Duvall proved time and again that the greatest power of acting lies in its ability to reflect the human experience. His body of work continues to stand as a benchmark for what it means to be a truly transformative actor. Whether playing larger-than-life figures or deeply introspective characters, Duvall's impact on cinema and storytelling remains an enduring influence on both audiences and the industry itself. His legacy, one defined by an uncompromising devotion to authenticity and emotional honesty, will live on long after the final credits of his films roll. If you found this reveal surprising, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more intriguing stories like this one. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And be sure to check out the next video on your screen for more exclusive content you won't want to miss.